Greatness is never given, it is earned. Through blood, through sweat, through sacrifice.
Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead!
Michael Jordan, six-time champion, assassin in the clutch, the gold standard of excellence. And then came Kobe Bryant, the student, the prodigy, the relentless pursuer of perfection.
Just around the corner, but quickly everybody's talking about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan.
Oh, well, this is the matchup that everybody's been waiting to see here in Los Angeles. You got the teacher versus the student. Kobe's trying to steal his knowledge.
Two ultimate competitors, but which of these two legends have earned the label of being the GOAT, the greatest of all time? Michael Jordan's greatness started years before he even stepped foot on the NBA hardwood. On March 29, 1982, Michael Jordan and the North Carolina Tar Heels faced off against the most feared team in the country, Georgetown, who was led by future Hall of Fame Knick Patrick Ewing. The game was a back-and-forth battle, and at halftime the Hoyas were up 32-31. Fast forward to the last 50 seconds, and the Hoyas had a 62-61 lead on the Tar Heels, with Patrick Ewing leading charge, putting up a monster 23-point double-double, and was only moments away from capturing a national championship. However, Jordan would have other plans. With 32 seconds left, the Tar Heels inbounded the basketball and began moving the ball around, trying to find a crease in Georgetown's swarming 1-3-1 zone defense. And with 18 seconds left, Jordan slipped into open space before rising up for a clutch jump shot. The Hoyas would quickly inbound the ball with 14 seconds left, but would ultimately end up throwing a bad turnover that would be stolen away by future Laker legend James Worthy. And just like that, the legend of MJ was born. On April 20th, 1986, a 23-year-old Michael Jordan walked into the Boston Garden and, with no regard for reputation, history, or 5 future Hall of Famers, put on one of the most memorable individual performances the game has ever seen. It was the night his airness became a legend, despite losing the battle in the end. The odds could not have been stacked higher against MJ and his Chicago Bulls. His second NBA season had been nearly derailed before it even began. A broken foot suffered just 3 games in and had sidelined him for 64 contests, leaving the Bulls clawing for a playoff spot without their young superstar. Most players, especially ones as early in their careers as Jordan, would have taken it slow upon return, sitting out for the rest of the year. But Michael Jordan was not most players. The Bulls scraped together an impressive postseason despite finishing 30-52, their prize being a first-round matchup against a Boston Celtics squad that was, simply put, a super team. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Bill Walton, 5 Hall of Famers, a 67-win team, the eventual NBA champions, a dynasty at its peak. The Bulls, by comparison, were seen as an afterthought, but even on a broken foot, Game 1 saw Jordan drop 49 points, a performance impressive in its own right. Yet even that was merely a warm-up for what was to come. Game 2 inside the Boston Garden, a building feared by all opponents, would be his true arrival. From the opening tip, Jordan played like a man possessed. Celtics defenders took turns trying to stop him. DJ, a 4-time All-Defensive Team selection, harassed him full court like a madman. McHale and Parrish swarmed him in the paint. Walton, one of the best big men of all time, tried cutting off his lanes. None of it mattered. Jordan slashed, soared, and twisted through defenders like a ghost, hitting impossible shots, hanging in the air longer than physics should allow. Basket after basket, Jordan continued his onslaught. Time and again, he single-handedly carried the Bulls back into the game. Triple teams, double teams, it didn't matter. He routinely made contested shots without any problem, twisting and turning acrobatically in midair, adjusting and finishing with ease. The Celtics, one of the greatest defensive teams in NBA history, were powerless. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard told one story. The Boston Celtics had won 135-131 in double overtime. But the real story wasn't about the score. It was about the singular performance from Michael Jordan, who had just obliterated the NBA playoff record by scoring 63 points against one of the greatest teams ever assembled. It was a performance so mesmerizing that even Larry Bird, a man known for his competitive fire and trash talk, could only bow in reverence. "I think he's God disguised as Michael Jordan," Bird would famously say after the game, a quote that would follow Jordan for the rest of his career. If there was ever a seal of approval from an all-time great, this was it. By 1997, MJ was already a global icon, a 5-time champion, and the unquestioned face of the NBA. But what he did in his final 2 championship runs with the Chicago Bulls put him on a level that no one has ever reached, even today. The 1996-97 season saw the Bulls rack up 69 wins, finishing as the NBA's top seed. Utah had surged into contention behind their legendary pick-and-roll duo of Stockton and Malone, and their physical, disciplined approach made them an extremely tough matchup for anyone. The finals began with Chicago taking a 2-0 lead, but Utah clawed back to tie the series 2-2, setting the stage for one of the most iconic moments in basketball history. What unfolded that night in Salt Lake City was something out of a Hollywood sports movie. Jordan, visibly weak and sweating profusely, looked like he could barely stand at times. He later revealed that he'd been suffering from extreme flu-like symptoms, and to anyone watching, it was clear this was not the Michael Jordan we were used to seeing, and yet somehow it was exactly the Michael Jordan we expected. From the jump, he struggled. He lacked his usual explosiveness. His shots looked forced. Every movement seemed to drain him. But with each passing minute, something changed. Every time Utah tried to pull away, Jordan answered the call. Every time Malone or Stockton tried to seize control, Jordan refused. What should have been a game where he was barely able to contribute became a virtuoso performance. By the fourth quarter, he was exhausted, and yet he summoned reserves of energy only he seemed to possess. He dropped 38 points, including a dagger three-pointer with less than a minute left, before collapsing into Scottie Pippen's arms as the Bulls escaped with a victory. It wasn't just that he played well while sick, it was that he played better than anyone else on the court while being physically drained. 2 nights later, the Bulls closed out the series in Game 6, with Jordan dropping 39 points. His 5th ring was secured, but his legend had only grown larger. If 1997 was a battle of endurance, 1998 was a war for legacy. Everyone knew it was the end. The Bulls dynasty was crumbling. Phil Jackson's contract was expiring. Pippen wanted out. Dennis Rodman was nearing the end. And Jerry Krause, Chicago's GM, had already announced that Jackson would not return regardless of the outcome. This was the last dance. Jordan, now 35, was still the best player in the world, but the physical toll was immense. The Bulls were running on fumes, but their leader refused to let them break. The series played out like a heavyweight fight. Chicago and Utah split the first 4 games, setting up another crucial Game 5 in Chicago. Jordan, despite logging heavy minutes all playoffs, put up 38 points, pushing the Bulls to the brink of another title. Then came Game 6, arguably the most poetic ending to a dynasty in sports history. With less than a minute left, the Bulls trailed 86-83. It looked like a Game 7 in Utah was inevitable, but Jordan had other plans. He drove past Byron Russell for a quick layup, 86-85. On the next possession, he made the biggest defensive play of his career, stripping Karl Malone in the post, then calmly walking the ball up the court. And then it happened. With 10 seconds left, Jordan sized up Russell at the top of the key. One crossover. Russell stumbled. Jordan rose, released, and froze time. It hung in the air for what felt like an eternity before dropping through the net, giving the Bulls an 87-86 lead with 5.2 seconds left. No celebration, no excessive emotion, just cold, ruthless execution. Utah's final shot missed, and just like that, Michael Jordan had done it again. But while Jordan's legacy was being cemented, someone's legacy was just starting. That someone was none other than Kobe Bryant. When the Lakers traded for the 13th overall pick in the 1996 NBA draft to select Kobe Bryant,
with the 13th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant.
You could have predicted that this teenager from Lower Merion High School would one day be recognized as one of the best players the game has ever witnessed. At just 17 years old, Kobe was the youngest player in NBA history at the time, but with that youth came growing pains. His rookie season was far from elite. Despite his incredible potential, he came off the bench for much of the year, averaging 7.6 points per game in limited minutes. He showed flashes for sure, like when he became the youngest player to ever play in an NBA game and the youngest to win the slam dunk contest at All-Star Weekend. But there were also setbacks, most notably in the 1997 playoffs against the Utah Jazz, where he famously shot 4 air balls in a crucial Game 5 loss. For many players, that moment could have been career-defining in the worst way, but for Kobe Bryant, it was fuel. Instead of steering away from the spotlight, he embraced the challenge, dedicating himself to becoming the best. But to understand Kobe's rise, you have to understand his biggest influence, Michael Jordan. From the way he walked, talked, and played the game, it was clear that Kobe had studied Jordan religiously. He mimicked MJ's footwork, his famous fadeaway jumper, and his competitive fire. But unlike others who tried to emulate Jordan, Bryant wasn't just copying, he was perfecting. The two faced off for the first time on December 17, 1996. Kobe, just a rookie, was still finding his footing. Jordan, in his prime with the Chicago Bulls, was at the peak of his superpowers. Kobe in return hounded MJ for advice, constantly picking his brain and absorbing every lesson. Those matchups weren't just competitive battles, they were the passing of knowledge from one legend to another. By the time the new millennium arrived, Kobe had fully evolved from a promising young star into an unstoppable force. Alongside Shaq, he led the Lakers to 3 straight NBA championships from 2000 to 2002, stamping himself as one of the league's most dominant players. In the 2000 NBA Finals, a young Kobe had his first true superstar moment. With Shaquille O'Neal fouled out of the game in overtime of Game 4 against the Indiana Pacers, the 21-year-old Kobe took over. Limping on an injured ankle, he calmly nailed clutch shot after clutch shot, scoring key buckets to lead the Lakers to victory. As he confidently gestured to his teammates with a "don't worry, I got this" demeanor, the world realized that Kobe was more than just Shaq's sidekick. He was a closer in the clutch. Fast forward to the 2009 NBA Finals, and Kobe was finally on his own mission, free from the Diesel's shadow. Facing the Orlando Magic, he put on an all-time great finals performance, averaging 32 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds while dissecting Orlando's defense. In Game 1, he torched the Magic for 40 points, the first time he'd reached that mark in a finals game. He controlled every aspect of the series, leading the Lakers to a dominant 4-1 win and earning his first finals MVP. But it was the 2010 NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics that cemented his status among the all-time greats. This wasn't just about basketball, it was personal. The Celtics had embarrassed the Lakers in 2008, and Kobe was obsessed. And just like his predecessor Michael Jordan, he took it personally. The 7-game battle was brutal, physical, and emotionally exhausting. In Game 5, with the Lakers on the brink of elimination, Kobe dropped 38 points and 10 rebounds, keeping his title hopes alive. Then, in Game 7, the defining moment of his career, he struggled with his shot but found other ways to dominate. He grabbed 15 rebounds, willed himself to the free throw line, and hit clutch buckets late in the fourth quarter to secure the victory. When the final buzzer sounded, Kobe had secured his 5th championship and 2nd straight finals MVP. So as you see, MJ and Kobe's greatness wasn't given, it was earned. They both endured countless challenges throughout their careers. But each time they prevailed, and because of those feats, their legacy and impact on the game will be recognized until the end of time.